You ever wonder why so many brilliant people, we're talking doctors, engineers, super smart analysts, just lose their shirts in the stock market? It's a real puzzle, right? They've got the brains, they do all the homework, but when it's time to pull the trigger under pressure, something just short circuits. We're going to dig into why that happens, because the answer isn't buried in some complex chart, it's right between our own ears. And hey, this isn't just some abstract theory. Let me introduce you to a trader who goes by the name Noob online. He documented his journey with some pretty brutal honesty. He had a plan, he had rules, but in the heat of the moment, emotion just took the wheel. And as you can see from his own words, it cost him. His story, man, it's the story of so many people who step into this arena. So this gets right to the heart of it. If it's not about being smart, what makes trading so psychologically brutal? What's the deal with that huge, frustrating gap between knowing what you should do and what you actually do when your own money is on the line?
Now, Noob didn't hide from his mistakes. Nope. He listed them all out. And this list, I'm willing to bet it looks pretty familiar to anyone who's ever felt that rush of fear or greed. Bad risk management, FOMO, chasing losing trades, micromanaging. Look, these aren't market problems. They're mind problems.
Okay, so that's the problem. But what about the solution? What if you could actually rewire your brain for this mental battlefield? Well, that's where we turn from the problem to the solution. And our guide for this is one of the most legendary figures in trading psychology, the late, great Mark Douglas. And this is his masterpiece, Trading in the Zone. For decades, this book has been the guide for traders trying to conquer their inner demons. It's not about secret chart patterns or fancy indicators. It's all about forging a winning mindset. This right here is the book's core idea. And honestly, it's a total game changer. Douglas says the market isn't your opponent. It's just a neutral force. It doesn't even know you exist. The real battle is happening internally. Your success, your failure, it all comes down to your own perceptions and your own actions. It's all on you. This table just breaks down the two mindsets perfectly. On one side, you have the typical trader. They're trying to predict the future, they're terrified of being wrong, and they blame the market for every loss. But the zone trader? Totally different ballgame. They accept uncertainty, they think in probabilities, they take total responsibility, and they work to neutralize their own emotional risk. So how do we actually become a zone trader? Well, first, we've got to understand the psychological traps our own brains set for us. And this isn't about willpower or just trying harder. It's about understanding our own wiring. Douglas pinpoints a fundamental flaw in how we're built. Our brains get addicted to random rewards. You see, the market isn't like a steady paycheck. The wins are unpredictable, and that very randomness is what makes it so dangerously compelling. Douglas uses this powerful analogy. If you give a monkey a treat every single time it pulls a lever, and then you suddenly stop, the monkey quits almost immediately. But if you reward it randomly, sometimes it gets a treat, sometimes it doesn't, that monkey will pull that lever forever. That random reward schedule is exactly what makes slot machines and trading so compelling and so hard to walk away from. So, how do you fight this addiction to randomness? You operate with a defined edge. Now, an edge isn't a crystal ball, it's not a guarantee you're going to win, it's just a specific set of conditions that you've found gives you a statistical advantage, a higher probability of one thing happening over another. The goal isn't to be right every time, but to have an edge that pays off over the long run. And this brings us right back to our trader, Noob. He read Douglas's book, and he didn't just understand the theory. He put it into practice with a famous exercise specifically designed to rewire the trading brain. He set 4 simple but really profound goals for himself. First, no more micromanaging or second-guessing. Second, plan every single detail of the trade before you get in. Third, actually execute that plan over a sample of 20 trades to see if the edge even works. And finally, journal everything. This is what discipline looks like in action. And to keep himself on the right track, he created this mental checklist to run through before every single trade. The questions here are all about reinforcing that zone mindset, accepting what you can't control, defining what you can, and operating from a place of abundance, not a place of fear. Now, it's easy to think that once you have the book and the plan, success is basically guaranteed. But the path to consistency, well, it's not a straight line. It is filled with setbacks. And here's Noob being completely honest about that reality. After a good run, the old habits just crept right back in. A little taste of winning was all it took for him to go back to his old aggressive style. This is what the journey really looks like. Your old mental wiring is always going to fight back. And this is where the real learning happens. Progress isn't about being perfect. It's all about how you respond to your mistakes. Noob realized the most important skill wasn't picking winners. It was stopping himself from revenge trading after a loss. It's about accepting the hit and living to trade another day. So what's the ultimate goal of all this work? It's not just about making more money. It's a complete transformation of your internal state when you're dealing with risk and uncertainty. Mark Douglas just says it perfectly. This isn't some external goal you achieve, it's an internal state you have to cultivate. Winning is a mindset before it's ever an outcome. Consistency in your actions is what leads to consistency in your results. So, let's bring it all home. To master this inner game, you have to think in probabilities, not predictions. You have to truly accept that any single trade can lose, even with a great edge. You have to kill the emotional risk by letting go of what you can't control. And most importantly, you have to take absolute responsibility. The outcome, good or bad, is yours. And that leaves us with a final question. Because this isn't just about trading. It's about any high-stakes decision you make in life, in your career, your relationships, your personal projects. In those moments of uncertainty, is your mindset your greatest asset, or is it your biggest liability?